and welcome to Finextra. I'm Thea George and I'm here with Rohit Talwar from Fast Future. We're at EBA Day 2017 in Dublin and we're talking about the future. Rohit, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, it's been a pleasure.
So you have made here today a very well-received speech in your capacity as a futurist. Could you tell me just a few of the key points that you raised during that speech?
Sure. Well, I think the three that really caused the most disruption to people's thinking were that, firstly, we're putting a lot of focus in the industry on digital identity. But on the other hand, the technology is moving so fast that with artificial intelligence, I will be able to protect my identity. And we could very rapidly move to the point where you won't know who I am. You'll simply have a secure identifier that says, I am customer 7060, and the government says it's okay to deal with me. Government will know who I am, but you don't need to. The second point was that we're getting really obsessed with all of the current legislation and this assumption that money will be the only means of exchange in the future. But actually what we're seeing is that my air miles, my Facebook network, my personal data, even my blood are becoming tradable commodities. And therefore we need to think much more broadly about how value will be exchanged and what role the financial services industry plays in that. The third big thing is that we're starting to see the emergence of ecosystems where there are a lot less transactions coming out of the system, a lot more is going on within the system. A very simple example is Disney with their Wave and Pay. Now, instead of me doing 20 separate credit card transactions while I'm at a Disney resort, I do them all on Disney's credit card effectively and then settle up once at the end, which has big impacts. Disney get a lot more revenue, but you're starting to see the players like Amazon and others trying to build these ecosystems and where they might even finance the stock of the companies that I'm buying from. So it's a very big shift that's coming, and we have to give ourselves permission to think about the longer term, not just the immediate issues.
So I can certainly see why that would have been so disruptive for the audience, as you said. I think you also made a comment around digitalisation being as much about culture as about technology. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, right now, the focus of most digital transformation initiatives, particularly in financial services, is around speeding up, investing in the technology. But these projects very rarely fail because of technology issues. They always fall on the same hurdles, which are cultural ones. And those cultural issues are, manyfold, but the two biggest things within that, one is mindset, that people don't necessarily think about how the technologies are going to change our world and start to think in the kind of ways that fintechs are. That's the big difference. They have a totally different mindset that starts with the customer need and then works backwards. So there's a real challenge there around changing the mindset and developing the capacity to act faster, to create the future, or to do experiments to explore the future.
So you've successfully scared everybody here about the future that things they weren't expecting or hadn't looked for. When they leave, what are the first steps that bankers here can take on the journey that you've described to them?
Well, I hope they've left motivated to actually start looking at the future in a different way. And that is to start breaking it up into different time frames. So yes, we've got to put a lot of effort into what are the vital few things we need to get done in the next year. Secondly, we need to have a different group of people thinking about where innovation and growth might come from in the next 3 years and looking at what could change in the external environment that either helps us with our strategy or gets in the way or creates new options that we hadn't thought about. And the final piece is we need to be looking 4 to 10 years over the horizon at what's coming next. So whilst I can't do anything today about the idea of storing data in the atoms of the walls of a building and growing that building, if I understand the scale of the change that's coming and how quickly it will change, then I can start to look at my strategy in the next 1 to 3 years and say, how do I really start to accelerate the mindset change, the skills development, and really encourage the kind of differentiated thinking that's going to make sure we don't become a commoditized entity in a highly digitized world.
Great insights, Rohit. Thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching.